Hello and welcome to this edition of News Notes. I'm your host Sumit Pande on 5wh.com, which is a multilingual e-commerce platform for professional journalists to sell their ready-to-use products, services, and creativity to news media outlets. Today, we are being joined in by a very special guest from Afghanistan, Zahrah Nabi, woman journalist who goes about her business on the streets of Kabul every morning, even in the face of restrictions imposed by the current Taliban regime. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, Zara. Um,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
yeah, yours has been a very inspiring story for journalists the world over, for newsmen and women who continue to answer the call of duty in the face of severe adversity. So tell us something about yourself, your early life, your family, and when exactly did you decide to become a journalist?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm, actually, I did my education outside of Afghanistan in neighboring countries. But in 2011, I decided to come back in my country and work here. So mostly I started to work with the media. I have more than 10 years experience working with the media of Afghanistan. And then in 2017, I was able, by the help of some of the friends, and they invested something, and then I could made the own female network media. That was, my idea, but I couldn't invest a lot because the investment was too much. So that's why I, by the help of some of the friends, we could establish this TV station for the women. And on the first step, I could train like 100 female journalists on that media, and finally we could hire like 50 of the female journalists, or not only journalists, but the female that they could work in the media. But when in 2021 August, when the Taliban came in power, we had to shut down the station. We were not forced to shut down, but according to the law, that the woman couldn't pair. Our media station was entertainment, so we could not broadcast music or something else. That's why according to the law we had to shut down. And then my colleagues all decided to leave Afghanistan, and they evacuated. That right now they are in Europe, United States, and Canada, and some other countries.
But you
And
said
then I decided to stay.
you decided to stay back. Yeah, yeah. So what was the reason? I mean, everybody was about you was leaving. Your parents are also have them left, I suppose.
No, my parents living. We are living. I'm living with. My father passed away. My mother, she's so
Okay.
old, and my sister and others. But my other siblings, they are in the United States, and my cousins, all of them, they left so early. When I left Afghanistan for education, there was no one in Afghanistan. And when I decided to come back in Afghanistan in 2011, I only came back with my father alone, and then later on, my father joined with me. So recently, like 3 years before, my mom and my one of my sister. I'm sorry. This I'm sorry. Only my sister and my mom decided to come back. Otherwise, all my siblings, cousins, all of them are in United States. But while I decided, my decision was the same that I decided in 2011. Except living in United States, I decided to be in Afghanistan because I know that being in your country, you can find a good job. You're the nation of that country, so you have all the rights that I don't say that others, when they are going to other countries, they don't have this right. But of course, as a refugee, you don't have that much right. And the one thing that I'm always afraid that my education is not going to be fit in other countries. That's why I decided, and I stayed here, and I'm always stay on my right and my decision that I won't leave my country in any stage, in any thing. That's why I decided. But of course, I was right, because others, they left the country. They are still not. But of course, they are in other countries. They feel comfortable. But the thing is that they cannot find a good, suitable job. The same job that we could do it in our country. That's why I decided to be here. Of course, there is too much things, risks, these things. But I like risks. I don't know. I like risks.
So when you started this station earlier, I mean, tell us something. The sort of works that you were able to do, the stories that you were able to generate with your colleagues. Give us a lowdown on that.
Yeah, I think you could understand that still I'm in Afghanistan, and you know, I cannot say all the things that share all the things, but okay. I started working as a freelance with the media, especially foreign medias, and working with them, and also working with some NGOs, collecting some reports and seeing how lives going on with the people when these changes came. How the people, they are trying to stay, or they are trying to leave the country, or they are trying all these things. So I'm always trying to cover all these things. And it is really hard, especially if you are a female, and especially if you don't have that much right. And especially if you, as a journalist, if you work as a someone that you should work as a low profile, don't show up, don't, so many times you don't have the right to use your camera, and you have to use only your mobile, and this is really hard. And also how you could, you know um, uh, you know give the people this, make them something that you should talk with me, you should, I want to make a report, and these things, it's really hard. I cannot say that, how you cannot imagine that how it's hard.
Yeah.
That if you should, if you should, hide your identity, when you are hiding identity, then you should work on that, and you cannot share with others. So it is really hard, but still I'm happy that still I can continue, and I can do something. There is some reports that really I couldn't share still with anyone,
Yeah.
because it's really
It's
risky.
it's been really really brave on your part that you
No,
continue
it's
to
not.
be in Kabul and report. So what all sort of stories that you do now currently? Do you go out for press conferences, meet people, and which all organization do you file stories for?
On press conferences, most of the press conference I'm not allowed to join. Yeah, in some, it's if it's in the media, how these things. So, but in most of the press conferences, I'm not allowed as a female. So that's why the problem. And but um, I'm mostly working with seeing the people's how their life is going on. So seeing still the people, they're trying to stay, they're trying to feed themselves, they're trying to fight for their rights and other things. So it is on these things mostly, but of course, how I could do it, it is a little bit hard. But when just I heard that there is something happened, like a bomb blast or something, other things, I'm trying to go there, but I know it is really hard. It is really risky. Then I'm, finding some subjects and on the topics, what's going on the news, then finding the people and trying to make them understand that you please talk with me. And then most of the people, they're afraid, and they say that don't show my face. You should change my voice. It is really hard if you don't show other face, if you change the voices. And then when I'm sending some medias, they accepted me to, okay, send it, we will publish. But later on, they say, no, it's very risky and other things. And I'm also afraid to share these data with others if they broadcast. My only fear is that I uh, I have to, by force, to leave the country at the end. They just say me, and that is really hard for me. That's why I'm always trying my best not to put myself and others at risk. And at least I want to stay in the country. But of course, working is now, since the hijab rule announced, it is really hard. It's really hard.
So yeah, these are the challenges you face while covering. Tell us also, something about the sort of the cooperation and the help that you get from your other colleagues, other journalists in the fraternity when you go out. Do you have a camera person with you, or other journalists who would be out in the streets? What sort of do you coordinate your work with them, and how do you go about your business every day? I mean, do you alone? I
Yeah.
mean, if you suppose you have to shoot a video story, so do you shoot on your own, or you have a video journalist who would
Yeah,
help you?
of course, I'm shooting now by my own. But the thing is that when the Taliban came in power in 2021, so all the media outside of Afghanistan, they were focusing on Afghanistan. We had a lot of journalists, foreign journalists here. So they always ask us to accompany them, work with them. And there was a lot of job opportunity for us. But now there is a strike on the foreign journalists as well, foreign medias as well. They're also banned to come and do these things. Coverage for them also is. Before I was using them, they were with me. We together made some big stories, but since the Ukraine war, it also really harm Afghanistan, this Ukraine war, because all the other countries, they all focus on Ukraine, and then Afghanistan was like already forgotten by them. But later on, also when the Taliban also put some restrict on the foreign journalists as well, then they also stop coming here and covering, and they are not. I think you can see that there is not too much news from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Since the Afghanistan has too much hard times here, the people have hard times every day, all the things, but only you can just see some small things, and that's it. No one can make news. No one can, because it is really hard. It's not only for Afghans, for foreigners as well. So that's why now we don't have also this opportunity to
So
work a lot.
as a freelancer, you as a freelancer or your colleagues as a freelancer, do you get assignments regularly, or I mean, it's difficult to get pitch stories and get assignments and do stories for even for foreign publications now?
Before, yes, we could. I had a lot of assignments. Sometimes, I had to schedule that. Okay, I have this 3 days I will work with that, or 4 days I will work with that. But since the hijab rule and all, and since the foreigners, are also forced to stop coming in Afghanistan, and there is some restrictions on them, and these things, all of them, slowly stop. And that's why now there is no more assignments and these things. And even for me, if I take my camera, so when you are going to make something professional, you need to have your equipments. It's not only I'm sorry, this guy. It is not only with only with I know it's iPhone is working, it's good, but the resolution and other things, it's not completely as the equipments. Like if you use your sound with the Sneisers, it is something different than others, and all these things. So if you take all these equipments, you have to have the right. You have to still I have the right. I have the permission. I have the ID card that I am a journalist, and I'm recognized even with this by the Taliban government. But the thing is that I'm not allowed to work like this. Then they stop me, and that's why I have to hide my identity. I shouldn't show up these things and all these things. It's really hard, and that's why when other medias, they also know that, oh, you're not allowed to do all of them. Always they are asking me about the technical things when I'm sharing these technical things, and then they are asking some subjects that it is really hard. If you do these things for them, later on it might be harm me and others. Then that's why you say, no, I'm sorry, you can't do this. And that's why now the assignments is really less. It's like it's nothing. Like I can see that I'm working but without salary. If my siblings are not outside of Afghanistan sending me for other things, so it is really hard to stay. But still, I know that I have to be here. I have to try to, sometimes I know it is really hard, but we are going on the takes, on the reporting voice, on other things. I know we have to find another, but the other thing is that we never train in the situation like this. If like you have to got some training.
Yeah,
and this training is really important for the ones that when you're not in a good situation, when you are working in a war countries, when you are working in a tough situation like this, that media is about it.
Safety, security equipment. I mean, yeah, that's a.
But no one also train us, no one help us, and these things even. At least how we can do this. But slowly we are trying and find a way that if it is hard, if it is not going like this, then you can use the others tricks. So still I'm using some tricks, but still I cannot publish it really.
Okay, thank you very much, Zahrah, for speaking to us. That's very brave of you to be staying back in
Thank you so much.
Afghanistan, in Kabul, and continuing to do your job as a journalist. That was, in fact, 5WH is a platform wherein the freelance journalists and independent journalists can, file their stories and share their content. And the intent is basically to empower the independent journalists. So you and your other colleagues in Afghanistan, you're most welcome to join 5WH. We can send you an invite.
Thank you so much.